All rise and stand and remain standing into perpetuity and in accordance with the ancient Noahide laws. Today is December the 7th, 2023 on the ancient moon calendar, 2024 on the ancient sun calendar. This is a sovereign living ancient Article 3, Moorish American Al-Moroccan Universal Court action. We are the divine sovereign living justices. And Ego Sum, Pauline Denise Ritchie, my free chosen sovereign appellation is Light Tajiri Bay. All are in capitis diminutio nolo in red ink, in propria persona sui juris, in proprio solo, and in proprio heredes. We are capite et corpus juris legalis, which is our statement that we are both the lawful and the legal natural head and body for our empire. All Moors are the divine, original, indigenous, sovereign, ancient, Al-Moroccan, Moorish American ascendants of the great pharaohs of Kemet and of the ancient Moabites, Canaanites, Israelites, Hamathites, Cushites, and Hittites. Our full faith and trust, our allegiance, our honor, our credit, and our energy are hereby vested in ourselves, for we are the people who are the original, indigenous, natural, divine, sovereign, ancient, Islamic, Muslim empire state for Morocco. We're the de jure Moorish National Republic federal government. We are at fact as well the government. We are ancient Washington District for Colombia. We're the Universal Moorish American Consulate and the Earthwide Article 3 Moorish American Consular Court. Today we are exercising the law by our sovereign status, which is the original, indigenous, natural, divine, sovereign, ancient Article 3 Living United States District for Columbia Court, and we are the sovereign fiduciaries, original creditors, executors, trustees, trustors, divine ministers, possessors, titled beneficiaries, and titled trustors for all causes for action. We are peace. We are one nation, one state, one empire, and one God. We hereby recognize ourselves and accept our sovereign divine ascension. We do hereby possess in our custody all land, all natural resources, and all commerce. We, the one true living God nation, that is to state that we are the nation filled with gods. We are not at war, and we hereby exercise all eternal, ancient, original sovereign rights at this time and at all points in time, nunc pro tunc. The principles that we share are not our opinion. We have removed all dead actors from our minds, thereby freeing ourselves from presumed foreign bondage and enacted psychological operations. Along with our sovereign, powerful demonstrations and study, these laws and processes that we share are based on principles of stare decisis, res judicata, and ancient positive supreme law for the land, long established in sovereign order. Erudite principles and processes for daily practical application to intelligently govern our vast estate every day is what our ancient ancestors have given us to share with the ancient sovereign nations, tribes, clans, states, and governments at earth. And for this, we are grateful. First on our list to share and to state Islam. Let me share my screen. Islam. We want to open this Congress and the next few Congresses until after the Holy Christ Mother Day, stating happy holy days to all Christ mothers, to all Christ Moors, and to all United States citizen subjects. Happy holy Christoma, or Christ Mother. Happy holy Christomas, Christ Moors. We celebrate December 21st. We are looking forward to it. The Holy Christ Mother Day, also known as winter solstice or the red solstice, Islam. With that being stated, we have just a couple of things we want to clarify because they are matters of inheritance. Does anyone in this Congress, because this is a matter of inheritance and land and ancient status and all of that, we see what the actors were previously doing in the funny mirror regarding Israel and Palestine, the actors who were previously acting as Israel and Palestine. Does anyone know what the name of Palestine was previously before the actors began acting as Palestine and as Israel or Israelis? And why was it changed? Islam. So previously, before the actors, everything was supposedly renamed and so on and so forth. Open to talk. Oh, thank you, Empress. You can unmute yourselves, Islam. I apologize for that information.
I'm like saying, what's going on?
I apologize. I'm sorry.
Islam, no worries. Abyssinia?
That was one of them. That was like a even more ancient name.
Oh, and I saw one of the states have a city called Lebanon. I was surprised. I was like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
There's several named Lebanon and Israel and all of that here on our land.
Okay. Yes,
so, thank you, Empress. Previously, Palestine was actually called Philistine.
Yeah, Philistine. That's right.
Philistine.
That's right.
And Philistia and Philadelphia are all derivatives one of the other throughout time over the timeline. And then the question was, why was it changed to Palestine? Does anyone know?
Islam. My deduction, as I guess I could say, is that it changed when the corporation changed their corporate status name, because there's plenty of different United States Inc., United States of America, United States, and so on and so forth. And so it changed in conjunction with all the other names that, land masses have been labeled and named. And so that's just my observation.
Very true, truthful. So we want to point out something important. And again, this is all about land. It's about inheritance. It's about identity. So it was changed because of the root word of Palestine. What is the root word of the word Palestine? The root word of the word Palestine. And yes,
P-A-L? Or pale?
It's pale.
It's pale. Yeah.
And those that are over there are not the real Palestinians. They are pale ones. They're pale ones. And that's why they keep asking for a government. They keep asking for land. They keep asking for freedom. We didn't ask for any of that because no one can give that to us. So who would we ask? No one. So for the purposes of their acting, they have them calling themselves pale people, pale ones. Pale means black, and black means pale, and pale means dead. So the more they continue to call themselves that, the harder it's going to be for them to get anything done. And they're just acting for our benefit, by the way. It's all in the words. The truth is always going to be in the words. Because who could call the Philistines pale? Who could do that? Who would do that? And why would they accept that?
Islam, God only.
Yes, indeed.
Only God can name things and give names. So God did that for a reason.
Yep. Yes. When we enacted in the previous era accepting those titles of black and U.S. citizen and so on and so forth, again, only God can do that. And then everyone else must comply with what God says. So,
that's why in the Biblios they was talking about Yeshua. And they was mocking Yeshua and saying, if who you say you are, you can take yourself off the cross.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
Though it was for a purpose, from that whole allegory standpoint, that was enacted.
It was enacted so that we could go ahead and take ourselves off the cross.
Yes. Also, the video you suggested we watch last Congress, at the end, the brother said about his last name and how he could take his last name and monetize it. And then I turned to Nate and I said, that's funny, because we have our titles, and our titles are already be monetized, quote unquote, because that is from our mother, and we have all the riches and the wealth in the world, darling. Yes. And so that part.
And see, the monetizing a last name, you must own the name to monetize it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what our fiduciary document does. It states that we own everything that has to do with us, and no one else can hand us a piece of paper with a name that's spelled exactly the same way and say that's you, unless you agree to it.
Mm-hmm.
That's taking yourself off the cross.
Yeah.
That's taking yourself off the cross. That's for all of us. Mm-hmm. And so, Islam.
Oh, no, I was just agreeing.
Yeah. So, again, this is all about inheritance. So then, now that we know that Palestine is not Palestine, so they're claiming a wrong stat. That's why in the enactment, they keep, people are just running through and taking over and doing whatever, whatever. And it's just because they're not who they say they are or were, And with that being stated, there's something else that we want to bring forth, because see, there are those who were switching identities in order to claim the estate and all of that. So we want to clarify some identity, the matter of inheritance. Just out of curiosity, who is the father of Yeshua in the Biblios? Who is the father, the biological father of Yeshua in Islam?
Joseph is Justice Rosalind from the Khalifa territory. Joseph is the biological father of Jesus. Islam.
Islam. You pronounce Yusuf though, not a Joseph, correctly?
It would be Yusuf. It would be Yusuf or Yosef, because there was no J back then. According to the ancient writings, the Lord is the Father. Not Joseph, but the Lord. The Lord is the Father. Have you ever heard in the Biblios, has anyone ever heard in the Biblios of any other immaculate conception in the Biblios?
Islam, no. Well, one moment, please. I was gonna say Mary for the sake of our word magic that we had did some congresses ago, and how father and mother, well, father is a title, and mother can wear that title as father, and so and I remember that she was a virgin, unwed. That's what virginity really means, is unwed. And so, but now when you speak of the word Lord, which is the title, lordship was a ruler. Yeah. And so, so it does. So then, who is it a particular Lord, or is it just Lord as in title?
It's a particular. It's Lord as in title, and there's a particular Lord that did it. That caused the Immaculate Conception.
Islam.
Islam, Empress.
Would it not? It would only be she, his mother, because women, once upon a time, could create.
Yeah.
Well, no, but you see, now that couldn't happen, because when woman created, the baby could only be female.
Until we decided otherwise.
You are absolutely correct. Well, I'm saying that the Lord, who is the bread giver, who is the mother, is the father. That's my guess.
That's the right answer. If I may add some clarity to the answer, yes, for others who may not get that. Islam nobility.
From my studies, I remember coming across is the original Lord was when one of the servants used to go to get the Lord of the manor, it was actually the matriarch. So the first Lord was the matriarch anyway, anciently.
Islam, that is correct. So all of the stories in the Biblios Heliotext, all in all the holy books, all the stories that you've ever heard in all the holy books, the matriarch was hovering above all of them. And we would intervene at will in order to make the story go, in order to make the story continue. So Isis, the scientist's mother, that was the purpose for the temple for Isis. That was where we did all of the intervening in the stories. Immaculate means without the man. Immaculate, without the male. So, and that doesn't take away from our men. Doesn't take away at all. In fact, it was such a huge event because it was a male coming at that time. So we always watched the events at earth and then we intervened at will. So when it says the Lord came to Mary and she conceived, that is how Yeshua became the Lord and all of that, because we intervened and said, okay, let's make her have a son. And because we intervened instead of Joseph, an earthly man, that is what made Yeshua a Lord and Savior. Have you ever heard of that happening anywhere else in the Biblios? Because we're still talking about land and inheritance and Israel and Palestine and all of that. We're still talking about that.
Islam,
Empress.
This is Rosalind from Khalifa Territory again. So I didn't study on that, but I heard that Elizabeth, her cousin or something, had an immaculate conception as well.
That would be John the Baptist being her.
Yeah.
I believe John the Baptist was her. That was John the Baptist's mother.
Yes.
Well,
that's what I didn't study on it though. So
he was the forerunner. He was called the forerunner. The conception was not immaculate, but he was the lead up to it. In other words, he was the experiment that said that the next one was going to work for the matriarchs who were doing those experiments. When John the Baptist was born, our experiment worked with Elizabeth, but it wasn't the spark. We wanted the spark to do the work. And so we added the spark, and it worked with Yeshua. So now, why then, what makes the people that were acting as Israelis, what makes them so special? Why do they keep saying we're the children who are we serve the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? They keep saying that. We serve the God, not that they're from there. They just say we serve the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
Ooh, man, Islam. What we just spoke upon, my word, is the God would be the mother.
Of course.
We serve the mother, the God of Isaac, Abraham. And the other
and Jacob.
Isaac, yes. My.
So now they're saying, this is my next question. and again, this is about land, inheritance, people's claims, who's who and what's what. Who is the father of Isaac in the Biblios?
Would that be again the mother?
Of course. But you can't just say that just because you know it. You got to prove it. Because who have they been saying is the father of Isaac?
My goodness. Back to nursery.
Empress Rosalind knows who they say is Isaac's father.
It is Abraham.
Exactly. That's who they say is the father. But listen to this. See, this is going to add light on claims and land and all of that.
I know where you're going with this, Empress, but go ahead.
Yeah. So Abraham first had relations with Hagar, whom our teachers call Aunt Hagar. But is she really? Let's just think about that for a moment, because let's look at the book. Let's look at the book. Look at the writing. We have not been taught this, but all we had to do was listen to those subjects calling themselves Jews, that were previously calling themselves Jews, to know there's more to the story than what we were told. Let's go to Genesis 21:1, because again, we're still talking about inheritance and land and identities. This is going to tell you that there was more than one Immaculate Conception, and nobody said anything about it. Genesis 21:1. It says here, and we can look at all the versions. It says, now the Lord was gracious to Sarah as he had said, and the Lord did for Sarah what he promised. The Lord did it. And then verse 2, Sarah became pregnant. That's the first Immaculate Conception in the Biblios, aside from Adam and Eve. And Adam and Eve were not really conceived. They were created. So even before Yeshua, Isaac was.
Islam. Now, they left off the S for he, and it should say she, for the sake of the Lord being the matriarch, right? And then verse 2, Sarah became pregnant and bore a son to Abram in his old age. Now,
read the rest. At the very time God had promised him.
Yes, God being the woman.
The Lord as well.
Yes, promised him.
Yes.
So, I mean, this may be seemingly off topic, but because I've been having conversations about the fact that the seed and the energy, the spark that it is that comes from man to bring life into the earth. And it said Abram in his old age. And so, I don't know, that men have their purpose to and have the ability to procreate with women until their, final breath, as they say. And because I remember hearing this video, and a man said, women take 9 months to have a baby, and they can only have 1 or 2, depending on twins or triplets or whatever. But a man can populate multiple women at the same time, and the women can give birth at the same time. And I really went in deep meditation into that, and I said to myself, but that is what they say. Fine, whatever. I'm not disagreeing or agreeing either which way for that. For the point that I'm stating that women, the mother, God, for a purpose chose for herself to have that 9 months to do what she do to give life in that 9 months. So I'm stating that to state that there's a reason why women have 9 months to bear forth the life and the growth and all that, to push the crown out, and the child is there. Okay. And so that was just a deep thought. I was like, so if men have that purpose, and I'm saying to myself, that's not the only purpose, because women aren't the only purpose to bring life in the way that we have, the way that it is now. and as we perceived rather actually too. And now there's new discovery that the Immaculate Conception, it was women assisting women bring life into this earth, and men were outside of it, the whole process. And Abram, in his old age, had the child from his wife. So that means in this whole process, from this passage, men, from their preconceived notion, aren't necessarily needing to have the child into their old age, or even, am I making sense?
Islam.
Okay. I don't know I'm not sure what the point of your conversation was. So it makes sense what you're saying, but I don't know where you're going with it.
Oh, okay. Well, because men feel as though they have to, procreate to bring more life into the earth, even up until their dying breath on this planet, when they choose to, go to the next dimension. And I'm like, no, that's not what I feel in my spirit, that we as women, because we, the women, the God, chose to have the 9 months. So that means in reality, we chose it. So that means we can decide for us to do the impossible to immaculate conceive. And that means you don't have to be in any part of this whole process.
Islam.
So we don't want to do away with our men. We love them.
No, that whole process, I get that, but at the same time, like, I'm just like in awe of this whole realization of information.
Yeah.
Islam.
So, just one moment, Empress Shasha. Let me just add this little caveat to that section of the Congress. The sons, when we make them, we put the fluids and the tools in place, and all of that is in place when we crown them, which means that we created all of that too. We created the male parts and the fluids, and then we receive those male parts and fluids again in order to create more male parts and things of that nature. But that's created in our wombs. So our wombs can create male and female, and that's so I'm saying all that to say this. We we willed our men into existence because we love them. Period. There's no other anything else to say to add to that. At birth, at crowning, we give them all the parts they need and all the fluids they need. And then when they get a certain age and those fluids and parts mature, then it happens again. That's the way that we chose to do it. And so we honor our men, and we have thoroughly enjoyed, let me say that 2 or 3 times, thoroughly enjoyed all of that whole process. We made it a process that we could all enjoy. So with that being stated, Empress Shasha, I yield the floor.
Oh, thank you. I just wanted to jump in and add in on Empress Angel.
Mm-hmm.
Reading the scripture there, and it actually says he bore to Abraham.
Yes.
By Abraham, from Abraham, for Abraham, or any of those other things. And not to dismiss the male part, because, yum, yum. But anyway.
Yes, indeed, Islam.
But, I wanted to.
Islam, I affirm.
This is Congress. Cool it. No, I'm just playing.
Okay, let me get myself back on. Oh my goodness, you said something and now I've completely lost my that was the piece. And it was all about the seamen.
Yes, the waters, Mommy Water.
Navy and Mommy Water, and we created the seamen.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes. And that's why we called it that.
That exact. I mean, it's you can just see the whole picture.
Yes. Yes.
Makes complete sense.
Yes, indeed. Indeed. And then it also says here, Empress Shasha, and I knew, because see, that was my next thought. That's what I was going to express next, what you stated. Empress Shasha, you do that all the time. You're always ahead of my thoughts. I just love it. It says in verse 3, Abraham gave the name Isaac to the son Sarah bore him, not his son.
Yeah. Yes.
The son.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're going back to land claims, who's who and what's what. Because you serve the Lord who did this, there is inheritance built into the serving. The inheritance is a spiritual inheritance. It's spiritual. And then it manifests in this dimension as tenants and residents. Okay? But the Lord is the owner always. The Lord is the owner always, and the Lord gives the names. But the Lord allowed Abraham to name Isaac, which is where everyone is saying, yes, you know, we're this, that, and the third, starting with the letter J, when J was not even a thing back then. This scripture doesn't say he was born Jewish. It doesn't say that. How many times is the word Jewish in the Bible? How many times?
Is it even in there?
Is it even in there? That's a good study for many, many, many to do, so that we can all be clear on who's who and what's what, the land, the inheritance, all of that. Identities, everybody back in their proper place and in their proper person.
Islam.
Islam, Empress.
It's mentioned one time.
And that one time is questionable based on whoever wrote that one that says that. One time, in one version.
And yet they're the chosen people? I think not.
It's actually not, because see, the chosen people are ancient.
Exactly.
And there was no J in what we did.
Again, when you look at the word,
yeah,
written, it didn't exist.
Yeah.
So,
and then when you look at their language that they are acting out, they do say they use the Y and the Yod and the Vav and the Hey and all of that. They use those letters and they call those letters those things. However, when you look at the record states who's who and what's what. Abraham is not the father of Isaac, not the biological father. So then you have to look at where Jacob, Yaqub, and the Yaqubian experiment, where does all that come from then? So
comes from Mother Islam. Why is it that they put the importance of his age be in here? At verse 5, Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born to him. Is there an importance for that they even mention it?
It's more about his son being born to him. Isaac was not born to him until he was allowed to name him. Isaac was not born to him until he named him. Isaac was born to Sarah and the Lord.
So what, have laws changed for him to be able to name his son?
God said you can name him.
So he had to be 100 at that point for him to do that, once God said so.
Yes. Yes. But remember, he was 99 at the time of conception. What they're saying is it was really kind of impossible for him to be the father anyway at that point. But for the Lord has done that.
And so, was Sarah, how old was Sarah? Does that have?
She was 10 years younger than he. She was 90 at the birth.
Oh, okay. So these whole fictitious scientific nonsense that women can't bear. This is why I was saying what I was saying earlier. Women lose. They say in these so-called Western studies that women can't have children after the age of 40, in good health and this, that, and the third. But men can have, up until their dying breath. And this story, in truth, of reality of the truth on this right side up, proves the antithesis of what we've been programmed to think. So it's really the woman who can have babies up until her deciding to leave this realm, and really men aren't necessarily, because they said he was 100 and he couldn't do it.
I don't know of any men who had a baby. So we've had all of them, and we have them whenever we choose to have them. Even in the Biblios, there were some who we were the ones having the babies when they say, Moses was 533 when so-and-so was born, and, so on and so forth, We were the ones that were 506 and 7 and 800 years old when babies were born. We were the ones doing that.
So I hope this gives clarity to my previous ramble about that whole thing, because when I find out that she's that young, because we women are young forever, and so are our sons, but we were 90 years and he was 100 years, and we bore the child, and okay, that is just the real opposite of what I previously stated about men saying that they can have children forever and a day, and women can't.
We were the ones
that making that clear to my
700 and 800 years old having babies. Come on.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
We were aging while they were aging.
That previous system did a number on this story.
Yeah.
Oh.
When all we really have to do is just read it. Just read it.
Wow.
Turn it backwards. Islam.
Look here. When Adam had lived 130 years, he had a son in his own likeness. He didn't have nothing. She had. Look at here. Seth was 105. Altogether, Adam lived a total of 930 years. And he was having babies at 600 and 700. After Seth was born, Adam lived 800 years and had other sons and daughters at 800 years. Adam not one of them came out of his womb, because he don't have a womb. Islam.
Yeah. So I think what I've heard is that people aged differently back then. I think our aging has accelerated in recent times. But to add to that, I've seen videos. I haven't met the person, or the individual, but I've seen videos wherein you have like herbalists in Jamaica, that they'll show you, well, if you drink this particular herb and take it for whatever duration of time, pretty much you could be Methuselah and produce.
That's truth for us. That's truth.
Yep.
That's true for us. And in reality, that's where we're going right now. The more alkaline our bodies are, the longer we live. All of the stuff you saw in superhero movies where, someone shoots the superhero and the superhero skin goes back together and he just gets up like nothing happened, that's us.
It kind of happens now, because I've seen videos where some of our people are leaping from buildings, or even scaling buildings, I'm like, wait a minute. That's amazing.
I'll say this. I know someone personally who was actually shot at point blank range 6 times. And all they did was put her in the hospital, pull the bullets out, and she's alive today. They know already that we heal very quickly, and it wasn't years and years and years for her to heal. She was shot 6 times at point blank range.
Islam. Karima, Virginia. I just met a young lady yesterday. She stopped me because she saw me walking, and she mentioned that she always see me walking when I'm doing my nature walks and meditation and things of that nature. And she stopped me, and we had a brief conversation. And that young lady was shot in her head. She showed me the scar where she was shot in her head, and she wasn't, in a wheelchair. She didn't have a cane. She spoke very fluently. She was, yeah. So yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah, I know someone else who was related to the one. They were in the same incident of shooting, and she was shot right in her forehead. And today, you look at her, you will never know it. She doesn't even have a scar on her forehead. They put a plate in her head, a little metal plate right here in her head, and it smoothed everything out. And they're bloodline and birthright all day, every day.
Islam, and the young lady had 4 children. She was pregnant with 1. So yeah, that incident stopped nothing. Islam.
So the people at the hospitals knew that we should not be dying of this and that and a third. We should not be doing that. When our bodies are alkaline with the right foods, and here's the thing, the ancestors showed us even in our 10-day fast demonstration that we did in the POW court, the power court, we call it. When we did the 10-day thing, we got stronger and stronger and stronger to where, and we looked younger coming out of there than we did going in. The video is out there. So that's all we have to do, is be willing to keep moving in the direction we're moving, and we all are. We just did this experiment to go all the way to animal husbandry because we created the animals. And then we said, okay, animal husbandry, we've enacted all of that. Now let's go back up. And that's all we're doing, is going back up and deciding where we want, how we want that to go, what we want that to look like. And we get to choose what that looks like. We get to choose. There's no one that can choose that for us. Everyone who's ever looked at us and saw us knew who we were and what we were capable of. That's why they didn't care about kicking us around when we were down, because they was like, you all are the gods of the earth. Why are you even down there like that? When the Biblio says, we shall not want, the Lord is my shepherd. Well, I'm the Lord. I'm my own shepherd. I shall not want. When the Biblio says, I shall not want, we don't want freedom given to us by someone else, because if they can give it, they can take it. The Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. So even in our bodies, these bodies live forever. Just do the study on Henrietta Lacks. Her cells still alive today, still curing people of cancer. It's just that they have not been putting that information out there. The more alkaline we are, no disease. In the Biblios, it says that as the children of Israel were leaving Egypt, not one of them was sick. Not one of them was sick. They were all healed and well and healthy, leaving. Everyone knows that about us. So with that being stated, again, it does not matter who's claiming identities in the last era. The truth is in the records. All we got to do is read the records, read the writings, and interpret them properly. So now we know Abraham is not the father of Isaac, and that immaculate conception happened regularly. Throughout the Bible, we intervened. We said we want man to continue. We want man to continue. And we did that with men. There were no immaculate conception with women because we didn't need to be, that was not a need for us. All we had to do was think it and it was done. But we wanted man to continue, our sons to continue and inherit, and so on and so forth. Well, it's our estate to give, not any third-party interloper or foreigner or anything of that nature. So with that being stated, it's in
Islam.
Islam.
One way, just to make an ask question statement to what you just stated. So that means that every powerful man that ever walked in the Biblios was an immaculate conceived being.
All the powerful prophets and all of that, we sent them. Yes. They were not conceived by men from earth. We did it. We had to do it so that we could give them our nature.
Uncorrupted.
Uncorrupted. That's where all of that comes from us. That's the difference, actually.
Wow.
We're very powerful. And that's not to say that our sons are not powerful. They are very powerful because they come from us, and they came by immaculate conception. A virgin, in the dictionary, a virgin really actually is one who was not copulated, who did not copulate with an animal. Actually, that's actually what a virgin is, according to the dictionary. The older dictionaries is one who has not copulated with an animal. And there's a difference between an animal and a beast. Look that up. Please do the study on the difference between an animal and a beast. The word animal is a derivative of the Latin word anime or animo. And please do the study on that, because it does not mean a furry little thing running around the house. Not my house, but the furry little thing running around on the land. Islam. With that being stated, Yeshua and Isaac have the same father, which is actually mother, the Lord.
Islam.
Islam.
So wouldn't it also lead back to the Lilith story about her not wanting to mate with a lower being?
Absolutely, yes. And Lilith and the rest of us stayed in the background, and we said, okay, let's give men and the sons, let's help that go, but we just won't do it. Let's help all of that happen, but we're not going to do it, because there's a part of us that said that we didn't want to participate, that our nobility and our divinity stays above. And with Lilith, where Lilith is concerned, she's of chapter 1 Genesis creation. Chapter 2 is where the story got changed and some other beings were born called Adam and Eve. Chapter 1 of Genesis is not the same as chapter 2. The two beings created in chapter 1 are not the same as the two that were made in chapter 2. Chapter 2 is where the modern ones started changing things and writing themselves into the story. And we allowed that. We allowed it. It's all right, because that won't change anything. It won't change our truth, you know, Islam. So on to the next topic. Why have we written the processes by which the law for the land is legally demonstrated? We have done that with these processes because, again, and this is proof right here, if the ones that were previously doing business as Jews, and thank you for the nobility who put that in the chat, Empress Chris put in the chat the name Yehuda, which first appears in the Bible as the name of the fourth son of Leah, also became the name of the tribe of the descendants of Yehuda. In this form, it is mentioned numerous times in the Bible. The term Jew, Jew, which is a hypothecation or subrogation of Yehuda, on the other hand, does not appear in the earlier books of the Bible and is to be found only a few times in the later books of the Bible. So that means somebody was revising the Bible as time went on to write themselves in. No biggie, because at any time we can do what we're doing and write everybody back into where they're supposed to be. So with regard to those that were previously doing business as Jews, you know, and again, we're not mad at anyone. We love everyone. We love everyone. We're gonna continue to prove that we love everyone. We must write the processes that manifest the law for the land in a legal system. Okay, we create the system. It's not anyone else's system. It's ours. We are the state. Our property shall not be and is not stateless. Okay. So at this time, we're going to pause the recording so that we can watch a video, and then we'll come back and we'll place the link to this video underneath this video, probably in the comments section as well. But we're going to pause the recording and watch a video really quickly. It's not a long video. It is about the Moors, and it is the media doing what we commanded them to do, which is talk about the Moors in a way that is assistive and stop putting all that old sovereign citizen BS out there. So the name of the video is Moors Rising. It is a video by Showtime. You all may be familiar with the subjects in the office of Showtime.
No news is good news on that.
So let's go ahead here. Let's go ahead and stop the recording. So we restarted this recording after watching this video on YouTube as a Congress. And we just want to discuss, first and foremost, this video illustrates, particularly the part about the domicile and the sleeping empress. She doesn't know she's a part of this also, who bought the domicile, quote unquote, and our brother Jalil claimed the domicile. He claimed it lawfully, so they couldn't charge him, but he didn't claim it legally. Because had he claimed it legally, and we'll discuss this, what do you think would have been the outcome had he claimed it legally, even though she was in possession of it? That's what we want to talk about, because our focus is on our processes for domiciles. Had Islam Empress,
if he had claimed everything lawfully and legally, then he would have had to move.
She would have had to move.
Because even
she would have had to move.
She would have had to move. She's a Moor, but she's sleeping, and she has the same rights that he has, and the purchase and she's living in the fiat debt system. So
Yes,
there's, just that, there it is.
that's it.
No standing whatsoever. In an issue really that had no standing, because, as you state, was a missing piece in the puzzle for him, and that's what allowed that debt system to come in and have him kidnapped.
Well, he actually wasn't kidnapped, and he was not charged.
Oh, he wasn't?
They took him out, but they said in the video, I was taking notes as we were watching it, he was not charged with anything. And I've connected with Brother Jaleel quite a few times, not quite a few times, once or twice on social media. And I believe we may have even spoken on the phone. Brother Jaleel Hugh was overseas for a while, and then he came back here, but he was doing Moorish science overseas for years.
Okay, so the showing the penitentiary and the man who was in the cuffs then, who was in the overall.
That was supposed to be Jamal. That was Jamal. That was our brother Jamal from Rise of the Moors.
Okay.
So again, they mushed a bunch of stuff together to make it look like a bad story. Did you notice how they switched from the story about the houses to a bunch of more sovereign citizen and so and so and somebody was there were 5 police officers. None of that had anything to do with Morris at all.
It was apparently to throw shit, literally.
Yeah.
A perfectly legitimate sovereign living people.
Yeah.
Really, because they never once stated about the the U.S. corporation. Yeah. They never once talked about the fiat system. It was a complete mess, really.
Yeah. They changed and mushed and mashed. Yeah, Empress Minerva said it in the chat. They mashed 3 stories. They actually mashed about 8 stories together.
Mm-hmm. And they tried to cover it with the cherry, according to them, with the Moorish temple, right? Yeah. Being the man who was in the science for generations, to say that we do not condone the breaking of the laws, and we don't condone this and we don't condone that, and how the law is going to deal with them, and it's like. But he spoke of the love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, the 5 pillars of light. But one doesn't have anything to do with the other when it comes to the corporate fiction. The justice of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice from the 5 pillars of light doesn't there's no comparison to the corporate fiction fraud of the statutes and codes. That's not law.
Well, from what I saw, it just seems to me that our brother, and we honor Brother Braswell Bay, Brother E. I think that's what they said his appellation was, from, because I don't know him. But from, at least he's wearing a fez and not claiming to be black. But to me, it just sounds like he doesn't know who the law is. He doesn't know that the Moors are the law.
Exactly. That he was a talent. You hire somebody. I shouldn't say that.
Well, don't say that, Empress, because I don't want that to come across on this platform. Because he apparently he's been doing Moorish work before. We've come around that in terms of hearing about him previously. We've heard about him previously.
Okay, but yeah, certainly he. As it said, go to one who knows the law if you need assistance. He isn't someone that
and we don't want to bash him because again, he is, and I'm not saying that you are, Empress. I'm saying for the sake of this platform, and the sake of who we are, the nobility, We're not bashing him at all. We just know that based on the words that we saw, there is still some room for growth where who the law is concerned. Islam.
Yes, like you said, they put a bunch of stories and bunched it together, and that whole representation that they try to portray of us. Not neither one time did they say what is the law. Or they was talking about the law, but what is the law? Nobody said anything about what is the law. So it's like they just telling a leading story. They telling a leading story to paint a picture that is not the truth of what the Moors are and who they are and what they're about.
Well, and you know what? It's not even their job. That's why we're here, and that's why there's over 400 videos online, out there. Plus, because they can't tell our own story. We must tell it, and then because remember they were under oath. We put them there and told them, don't tell any of us who we are. We got this too. We got that too. So, yes, we're sovereign. No, we're not citizens. We've begun, and this is the thing, we've begun issuing to the citizens who they are. And we've begun, and of course we state who we are all day, every day on the public record. Here's the thing about that type of media, and it's not even media, it's subjects in the office of media, so it's going to be incompetent. But it's our job to put the true stories out there about who we really are. A couple of things that I wrote down. One of the things they said, Islam Empress.
One of the things I want to say, just from being interviewed before, is that they cut and chop. We have to remember that that's the television, and that they cut and chop things. So they might have, like we said, pieced things together, and the question didn't go with the answer, and something else might have been talked about, but they edited it and chopped it to make one whole cohesive piece to basically give us their narrative.
Of course, Empress.
Islam?
Yes. But see, again, if we hand our words off and delegate for somebody else to tell the story, then they're going to do that. That's why it's our job to do it. That's why 400 and something, almost 500 videos. That's why. Because no one is going to speak for us. We present ourselves. No one represents us, period. I've been asked to give interviews and things like that, but most of them already know I'm not giving you anything. I'm not giving you my name because my name belongs to me. That's my servant. I'm not giving you that for you to just say and do whatever.
Islam?
Islam.
Not that we should be reactive, but there is and we all know this, these people are on their last leg. They're struggling, trying to hold on to dear life as we rise up. And they know that they have to step down, but that doesn't mean that as they're stepping down, like the villain in the fictional story says, with my last breath, I spit at thee. I think you may remember that quote. The ship is dying. There's no way you're going to survive. You see your imminent destruction, and you're still trying to press the button to try to take the enemy out. That's what they're doing. Now, as we govern our estate, my question is, for those remnants that are still remaining, they still have a few bad actors, spewing out garbage out of their vomitous mouth.
Nope. They're not even they yield when we do when we're competent.
Okay, so for those that have not yielded yet because we haven't attached or done anything necessarily directly to their entity / organization, I'm speaking in terms of entities formerly known as the Southern Poverty Law Center, as an example. And they have a specific agenda for we, the rising Moors, as we awaken.
Oh, no, they don't.
That's
not even who that is. They're not even that.
Okay,
that's not who that is. They assumed a false identity.
Yeah, but that's what they're known by. Let me correct that. That's what they're known by. I don't know who they really are. I don't really care because they're liars. I don't really care. My question is simply, what, if anything, are we going to do about that, if anything? That's my real question to our Congress.
That's a beautiful question, because you know we got something, don't you?
Oh, I know. That's why I'm asking. I want to hear what we got,
yeah.
so that I don't act out of harmony with, our collective strategy.
Islam.
Let
me show you in just a moment. Go ahead, Noble Travis.
We have 4 parts that we need. We have people. We have money.
Yes.
We have a constitution. And the 4th one is we have a flag.
There it is. Ben had all of that. Okay, so we're good. We're good. Now, one of the things I wanted to state about the rise of the Moors story, first and foremost, again, we honor Justice Jamal for the work that he's doing. You must be a government and a nation and a state. We like the term rise of the Moors. We like that, but it doesn't say government, state, federal, county, land. It doesn't say it doesn't say any of that. So while we like it, it doesn't convey fully who he really is. And then something that was stated in the video about how I believe the interviewer asked one of the participants in the video, "What do you want?" That's a trick bag question for every Moor out there. Because to say what do you want, that means that they have the authority to give it to you, and they don't. They don't have any authority to give you anything. So whenever anyone asks, "What do you want?" thou shalt not want. And does anyone know the opposite of want? Because see, want and lack are the same thing. Does anyone know the opposite of the word want? W-A-N-T.
Islam. Shall have. I shall have.
That's close. It in a life.
I am.
What do I
yes.
want?
Abundance.
Yes.
There's your opposite.
That's the opposite is, Empress Shasha said, I will. Will is the opposite of want. And Empress Aisha stated that I am. Am is the opposite of want. When they say, what do you want? If we run around talking about, oh, well, we want this and we want that, you sound like a 2-year-old. You sound like a minor. Telling somebody who can't help you what you want.
And freedom, nobody can give you freedom.
Empress, I was trying to, because I don't want to, we don't want to, we don't want to particularly point at any individual. We want to make it general, but nobody can. You're absolutely right, Empress Shasha. No one can give you freedom. See, listen, you prove that you deserve freedom when you take it.
You have to take freedom.
Entitlement.
Yes, you're entitled to it. That's truth. But no one's going to give it, because if they have to give it to you, you don't deserve it.
Because they can take it away. Anything that is given can be taken away.
Yes, and guess what they taught us in our sleep? The Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. You better believe it.
We give or we take away.
Best to know. Yes, indeed. And that is what we've done. But see, instead of just responding with emotions, we respond with process. The proper legal process backed up by the law. Because both are necessary. Justice Jalil was not, if you look on his paperwork, Justice Jalil's paperwork, let's take a look at his paperwork really quickly. Let me just see where she showed the document. Let me make it a little smaller. Just a moment. There it is. 157. Right in there. And then let me just make this screen a little smaller. Just one moment. And let's see what was on
Jalil QL. There were like seals.
It said on his paperwork. Just one moment. Let me make that smaller.
This is the literal watching.
Hold on just a moment. It might take me a little while to do that, but I'm going to do it. Yes, you're going to get smaller because I said so. Yep, you sure are. There it is. Okay. Just a moment. Let's take a look at the documentation that he had, because on the documentation, just a moment.
Find the stories people in the Northwest.
Just a moment. We're not going to play the video, but we are going to.
We're talking about and sharing.
But we are going to look at that documentation. Because, see, he has the lawful documentation, but not the legal documentation. And that's the part that she has. Just one moment. The hybrids want to sell something. We're not buying it. So 157, right here. You can see on his documentation, he has there, look at it, 155. It says there, he's got consular court on there, right here, consular court. He's got, you know, the seals and things, and this is, you know, again, he's got the legal part correct. He has to have the lawful part. Just a moment. So that is why we've put the proper documentation in place for the lawful, or the legal piece rather. And again, that is why he was not charged with anything. because lawfully he's correct. Legally, though, the process has to be proper. So for those who are doing things with regard to foreclosures and things of that nature, just one moment. This is why we're stating what we're stating about the paperwork, the legal process. But see, the legal process cannot be in their system. It's ours and our system. And so what is the process? Let's name the process for purchasing a domicile or claiming a domicile. Let's name that process. The first thing is always going to be nationality. So that's going to be name change. And what you're doing is you're not changing, you're not necessarily changing the spelling of your name. You're changing who has authority over the name given to you by your sovereign mother. And even if you were your mother, your sovereign mother didn't give you the name, maybe your father gave you the name, maybe grandma gave it, it's all the same. Who is the head? Who's over that name? That's where nationality and status is concerned. Name change and judicial proclamation. That's the first part. What's next? Anyone in the Congress, what's next? How would you tell people to deal with that situation? Because see, ultimately, even the claiming of domiciles is going to be between us and other Moors. It's not even about anyone else. This is to keep us peaceful on the land. Islam.
Then you would have to do your lien for your namdegir and social security number to bring it to the to remove the debt and the fraud.
Yes. That sequence of numbers belongs to us. It's who's governing the sequence. So what we do is just lien their use of it. You're not leaning necessarily your benefits, you're leaning fraudulent use of that sequence of numbers. Okay? They can have any numbers that they make, and then we have the numbers that we make and create.
And it's still our apparatus because we are the authors of everything.
Yes, it's because we created to be our apparatus. Whenever, let's say, for example, in the past, quote unquote, City of Federal Way Corporation, not created by the Moors, whenever they were creating a Pauline Denise Ritchie, it had nothing to do with me. It had nothing to do with me. So what did I do? Place a lien on their ability to claim benefits and to claim that sequence. Because the sequence, they can't claim anything. They don't own anything. And then I kept the sovereign appellation, the holy appellation that my mother gave me at birth, Pauline Denise Ritchie. I am named for my grand matriarch. So I'm keeping that as stated by my mother and not as stated by a corpse. So then what comes after that? Number 3.
Would you termination of all corporate contracts?
Yes, indeed.
And court actions.
U.S. And these are going to be in black. Because if you'll notice, there was a point in that video where the modern European who was doing the acting as a teacher, and he was supposed to be teaching people about Moorish sovereign citizens, quote unquote, which is not a thing, that doesn't exist. He had some things laid out on the table. He had some license plates and some passports and some documents laid out on the table. Every one of those were created, and that's the only way that they got their hands on them. Every one of those was created in a fraudulent system. And the Moors just did not know that. They had good intention for those documents, to our knowledge. However, when created in a fraudulent system, and that is why we're doing the processes and showing how to do it on the public record, so that it's created in our sovereign state and not someplace else. So then what's next after that?
Islam.
Islam.
Declaration for Trust document.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. You can say proclamation or declaration of trust. And then what's after that?
The fiduciary affidavit.
There's one before the fiduciary document, and that's going to be a lien on this thing, the United States Corporation, the U.S. the fake one. It's going to be a lien on that, but this is good because that's the one where everyone was pretending to be us and pretending to be things that they are not. And then
Islam, a court action at some point for all of these processes. Because the court must still speak. The court action, where you call the names of the debtors.
Yes, every one of these is a court action. Every one of these, because they're affidavits. These are all affidavits on Moorish government letterhead, on our letterhead. And they have the court action language at the beginning of them. What's the court action language? It's this right here. We introduce this court action language with because everything we do is a court action. This information right here, all rise and stand and remain standing, this is our court action language. All of our affidavits start with this. All of them start with this. Or they have one that has this on it connected to it and sent with it. For us, we try to be as thorough as, not try to be, we are very thorough in that we start all of our affidavits with this. Why? Because we're the court. We're saying that from the very beginning. We're the court. Now, all of this is the lawful piece. This is the lawful piece. So Justice Jalil, obviously he did all of this. So he stated who he is. He didn't have any contracts with them, so they couldn't charge him with anything. Now, they did, according to her, they ushered him out of the place, and all of that. Because, and from our perspective, we're just adding that it's because the legal process was not put in place in the right system.
Right.
Because when you put the documentation of the sleeping empress who was in there next to our documentation, theirs can't stand because it's fiat based. It's not based on anything. And we stated that earlier. So first, the lawful process, which is these 6 documents right here, then the legal process. Oh, and where domiciles are concerned. You want to do a lien, levy, and bond. So next up, number 7 is going to be lien, levy, a lien on whatever it is, whatever the issue is. So these first 6 documents take care of your person. They state that your person belongs to you. That's what the first 6 documents do. Then you start speaking to the issue, the domicile, the conveyance, whatever it is, the property, whatever it is. Then you start placing liens on property. And then levy. And then bond. And then what else happens after that? The title. And that's allodial title and tax assessor title, which you have because you're the tax assessor. So you restate the tax assessor office, restate it because you're that. And for some, it's going to be, and for most of us, it's going to be the Torrens title or Torrens certificate that we issue. There are a couple of other things that we do just to seal and, put things the way that it should be regarding utilities and things of that nature. All of that is a part of this governing process. So where Justice Jalil is concerned, these things, a lien on the property, a levy, a bond, a allodial title, and tax assessor Torrens certificate. Because the allodial title is on Moorish government letterhead. The tax assessor or Torrens certificate is just what it says. And that also, the Torrens certificate and the bond can be issued at once. That can all be stated at once. Then you have to do the exchange on the money exchange. That must be done so that you can show that it was properly accounted for. The Empress in the chat stated when we talked about the modern European in the video, and I'm not even going to call him that, I'll call him an actor. The actor in the video who had the license plate laid out on the table and things of that nature, they were all in black ink and capital letters. That was the first thing that I noticed about them, if I remember correctly. Let me see, where were those things in the first place? I think it's right here. Just a moment. Yeah, they are in. Here, we'll let it run through because it wants to play commercials every time, so we won't look at the commercials. But each one of them was in black ink and capital letters that he put on the table. And they know that things that have to do with us are always in blue or red. And for tags, it's going to be in blue. Okay. Look, black ink and capital letters, black ink and capital letters, black ink and capital letters. He's showing you there all the things. And it's not contraband if it was created in their system, you see. When created in our system, they can't touch it. And we are living proof of that. That, we've proven repeatedly over and over who we are and things of that nature. And so in the video, it was mentioned about driver's license and gun permit. And they specifically stated in the news story about Justice Jamal where these were their words, none could produce government driver license or gun permit. They didn't say theirs because they know they're not the government.
Right. Wow.
That's why we're doing what we're doing. Because we produce that. Driver licenses and firearms licenses, that's government work.
Right.
That we've already begun issuing, and then recording of firearms. And that part we're still completing that. We'll be showing you that part about proper recording of firearms. And again, we're not at war. Firearms are entertainment for us in terms of target practice and things of that nature. Some Moors like to hunt, some Moors use firearms for practice and competition purposes, just to kind of keep their eyesight and everything sharp. And then also, according to the Constitution, a well-organized militia, but that's for peacekeeping. That's not for war. It's for peacekeeping. But I am of the knowing that our pens are enough. That's my knowing. So, with that being stated, another something we wanted to do. Did we forget anything on this list, Morris, Congress?
You still need the deed?
That comes with a allodial title, tax assessor, torrent certificate. A deed and a torrent certificate are the same thing. So we'll add that, Empress. Because see, it's a deed for trust. And you stated the trust earlier up here at number 4, proclamation of trust. However, a trust for the property can be included as part of the tax assessor or torrent certificate. So we'll add that here. Thank you, Empress Islam. All done by court action.
Also, there's not only the U.S. corporation company, but there's the U.S. corporation company.
So we say lien on this and all agents, principals, heirs, assigns, and any and all derivatives thereof. And that'll get all of those different iterations that they did in all of that tap dancing and craziness of trying to find different names every time somebody liens you. Islam, Empress.
It seems that they've moved on to a new name, the White House. I would imagine that needs to be liened also. Islam.
Whenever you see things like that, Empress, just go ahead and do it. We do know that they're calling themselves a piece of property. That means that's really a Masonic signal that they're property, that they are the property for the real government. Who calls themselves a house? Unless they know their property. Unless they change status. Because see, before they were calling themselves a government, but then they call themselves a White House. Still property.
So
and anytime that we do the U.S. corporation company and all agents, principals, heirs, assigns, and any and all derivatives thereof, that includes all of that. Islam, Empress Aisha.
So we should do this against our own, all of our own personal property.
Yes.
And then do it on theirs, on the cooperation companies?
On their what?
Like on our U.S. cooperations?
Yes, on ours, not theirs, because they don't own anything. They're just subjects.
Okay.
On our own property, yes.
Okay.
Because, see, our property cannot be stateless. It must be stated. There must be a statement because they are a part of our estate.
Okay.
And we don't want to leave our property stateless. So this establishes and states everything that has to do with our property. And here's the thing, our property is ours forever. So once we do these things on the record, it cannot be taken from us at all, ever.
Okay.
It's forever. Into perpetuity is what our court actions say.
So I need to do a lien, levy, and bond on my own property.
If it is your will, yes.
Okay.
Because we can tell sovereigns what to do. And sovereigns have no needs. It's a matter of whether you will to do it or not.
Okay.
Yes, indeed. We strongly encourage all Moors to do that, because then you won't have a situation like the video we watched.
Okay.
We've done all of this with this property here as well.
Gotcha.
Islam. What about the removal statement of all presumed alien interests?
Yes, I thought about that one too. That can be number 12, removal of all interest.
And statement of debtors in abandonment.
Alien interest and statement of debtor abandonment. That's actually really important, simply because that is like the capstone document for everything that we've done. This is proven by all of these other documents, and then when you state it, that means that you realize what you've done. Why? Because once this money exchange is done on the public record, that's going to do this right here. And then when you do a one-page statement stating that, then you've gone from start to finish on the process. Start to finish. And that's what our ancestors wanted us to do. Go head first. Then you can go and be in the domiciles and be in the properties and drive and travel in the conveyances and drive the conveyances because you have a driver's license and insurance. All of that. Yeah, it's these processes are just, they can't be denied.
So could you kind of just give me an example of how to do, in words, how to do number 12?
Yes, Empress, I will be happy to do that. So let me pull that document up really quickly. I'll go ahead and pull up the one that we did where we just a moment. It was an abandonment of interest. Here we go. We did one on a conveyance. So we'll give you what that looks like. Let's see. Just one moment. Let's see if we can pull that up really quickly. this is another one that I wanted to show you really quickly as well. This one. Contractor pay scales. Okay, so here is one right here. Just a moment. Yeah, here's one. Here's one that we did. Let me put it on the screen. This one we did for the particular this is an interest release affidavit writ from Washington Licensing. The title of the document 420.040 Washington. It was done the 28th of October. Here's what it states. It lists the property. This is the property. Then it says affidavit writ release of interest. The United States does hereby release all debtor-tenant interest claimed by all debtor-tenants to include Mercedes-Benz of Tacoma and Washington Department of Licensing from and in the above stated vehicle and vessel. And then we just put, we're the fiduciary, we're the chief executive officer for Mercedes-Benz of Tacoma, our driver license number for the fiduciary. It was signed at King County, Washington. It says debtor-tenant has abandoned North America and all vehicles and vessels to include the above stated vehicle and vessel are United States property. The debtor-tenant stated herein was legally notified by United States certified first-class mailing and hand delivery. Title copy is enclosed herewith by our hand and full authority. I, Pauline Denise Ritchie, fiduciary attorney in fact for the United States as creditor for recovery from Mercedes-Benz of Tacoma as debtor tenant in abandonment, do hereby state that the above Washington law is truth and fact. All interest previously claimed by Mercedes-Benz of Tacoma is hereby released. And again, the debtors cannot do that. We must do it. They don't have the authority to release their interest, but we do because we're the creditor. So that's what that looks like, Empress Aisha. Okay. So that's the language for it. And this is our corporate document. And then we have an affidavit that states the same thing, I believe. But even if we didn't have the affidavit, we have our fiduciary affidavit, which connects with this.
Okay.
Islam. And then we had it notarized and things of that nature. When we did the study on release of interest, when we did the study on it, we just wrote this according to our study of what are the characteristics of release of interest. And this is what release of interest is characterized with. Each one of the things listed here.
One more question. When you do the lien, the levy, and the bond, can that be done in one statement, or they all have to be separate documents?
They are separate processes. It is suggested to do them separately, and the reason why is because they go to different places.
Okay.
They all go to the same place for the most part, but there's a couple of like liens go to a different place, in each wherever territory that you're at, or you can send it to D.C. if you choose, or not D.C. but Washington District for Columbia.
Okay.
Yeah. So it just depends on who you're notifying.
Okay, so if you don't send it to D.C., you need to send it to the particular company you're dealing with.
Yes.
Okay.
You or put it on the public record at least put it on the public record, but for the sake of completion and thoroughness, the public record, and then send it to the subjects in the office of Chief Executive Officer for the companies involved.
Okay.
Thank you.
Islam also to include the county.
Yes, indeed. And that's another reason why we say the public record, because it just depends on, and see, the county, all the public servants, everyone should be looking at the public record. They should be checking the public record. So now that we've shown this, Noble Phoenix asked the question earlier, what do we do about all of this? About everything. Now that we've looked at the video, we've seen the processes, we've stated the processes, we know what to do. But what else can we do to put proper notification out there? The answer to that question is what we're about to show you.
Islam Empress?
Yes.
May I ask about that removal letter that you just had up? Why did you create the logo with a D and a L? What does that represent or present?
It was supposed to be driver license, Washington driver licensing.
Okay, Islam.
Because it was for a conveyance.
Islam, okay.
Mm-hmm. Had it been a domicile, then it would have been the tax assessor, King County tax assessor. I would have created, because we have our logo. All of our logos have been restated to the national logo. So, and really quickly before we go into that, this is a photo that I was going to show during our last meeting, during our last Congress, but I never got around to it. What do you notice about this photo?
Islam.
The
Moor in the background.
Yes, the real nobility with a fez on his head back there. We've always stated that no one can do anything without our assent to that. There must be Moors, because see, these ones in the photo are all actors. They're not real nobility. They're actors. But in order for the acting to even take place, we would have had to let it take place and not say anything. But we've already stated. I just wanted to show this to you because this one here, this male on the right, this actor was acting as the Shah of Iran, which is actually ancient Persia. And those that were previously acting as Jews always talked about ancient Persia. Well, if you know that that's ancient Persia, then obviously you know that this is ancient Canaan land. This is ancient Al-Maraq. This is ancient, ancient the Maghrib al-Aqsa. This is the dome for the rock. This is the Temple Mount. If you know that that's, but this is who they were acting as, Iranian, whatever, nobility or royals or whatever. But I just wanted to point out that in all the acting, the Moors were always there. We had to be there. I mean, if you look at what they're wearing, what he's wearing is too big for him. That's how you know they're actors. Because the real nobility has things custom fitted. That's another something that I just wanted to point out. That I just noticed that. Well, I noticed it before, but with that being stated, Noble Phoenix asked, what do we do about what's going, all of the previous actors and things of that nature? Please allow me to bring to your attention a document. Let's take a look at this document. This document was enacted, because it was just an act. The title of the document is called Declaration Regarding the Defeat of Germany and the Assumption of Supreme Authority by the Allied Powers, June 5th, 1945. And we know what was going on in 1945. We know what was going on. There was people pretending to be fake Jews that were about to step onto the stage and start acting and things of that nature. This was in preparation for that. But this was regarding the quote-unquote Germanic tribes, the Germanic people. And so I'm going to put the link to this enactment in the chat so that you can take a look at it at your will. But we read through it. We gave it some study. It's not a long document. It's only 15 articles, 15 very interesting articles. Why are we looking at this? We're looking at this and we're restating this because we've been stating all along, we've been stating that we're the sovereign supreme authority, we're the law for the land, and so on and so forth. When we state those things, people are asking, what does that mean? What does that mean? They're not disputing that. What they're saying is, what does that mean for everyone else? What does that mean for everyone? So we want to ensure that everyone knows where they are and what that means for them when we state that we're the supreme authority at earth. Islam.
It means that they are subjects and they need to be in their place and stay there.
This is absolutely how to state that on the earth platform. This is how that is stated where international law is concerned, because people are always talking about international law. We affirm. So we've restated a great portion of this. We still have some to go, but we wanted to proclaim our supreme authority over all of earth. This is a law and proclamation regarding the stated, demonstrated, and proven reign. Because, see, we've proven already from start to finish, and I know that's why our ancestors showed this to us, is because we've proven that we know who we are. This is the law and proclamation regarding the stated, because we said it first, then we demonstrated it, and now it's proven reign by supreme authority at earth by the government over or for the United States for America. For we are the Moorish National Republic federal government, hereinafter stated as the government. So anytime someone says the government, we're like, well, we're right here. What's going on? There is no other government. And when I say there is no other government, I'm talking in terms of All Moors are the government. Let's make that clear. No matter who they are, no matter what they call themselves, all Moors are the government, period. We're talking now about the things that we've demonstrated competently and that we've placed on the public record competently and peacefully, because we're not at war. As you read through that document, you'll see why we stated things the way that we stated it, and we will vote on this document. This document is, again, to state what everyone should be doing. All corporate actors previously acting as armed forces on land, at sea, and in the air have been completely defeated and have surrendered unconditionally, and the stated corporate actors are not capable of resisting the will of the ancient victorious powers, the government. Let's put that right here, because we stated who the government is. The unconditional surrender of all previous corporate actors has thereby been stated, demonstrated, and proven, and they are subject to such requirements as may now or hereafter be placed upon them, nunc pro tunc. There is no central government or authority among the subjects capable of accepting responsibility for the maintenance of order, the ministry of the country, and compliance with the requirements of the victorious powers, the government. So we're going to change the word country to estate. And we're going to add, where victorious powers are concerned, the government. So there are no subjects capable of accepting responsibility for the maintenance of order, the ministry of the vast estate, and compliance with the requirements of the victorious powers, the government. It was in these circumstances necessary, without prejudice to any subsequent provision or decisions, and let's change that. It was in these circumstances necessary, without prejudice to any subsequent rulings that may have been taken respecting the subjects, to make provision for the cessation of any further hostilities on the part of the subjects, for the maintenance of order at earth, and for the ministry of the country, and to announce the immediate requirements with which all subjects must comply. So, Noble Phoenix, this is the answer to your question that you asked earlier when we stated we're going to get to that in just a moment, about what do we do with regard to the subjects.
I am actually loving that statement, the way it's expressed already.
Islam, when you read that document, it's a beautiful document when you look at it from the place of peace.
Mm-hmm.
You know, let's go on a little further. And these are just restatements that we did. We just took each one by one and just restated it according to our will. The supreme command for the United States for America, and this should be that. By authority of the Moorish National Republic Federal Government and in the interest of the living United Nations, accordingly proclaim the following statement. And we're going to clean it up and put it on an affidavit once we're completely finished with it, and then we'll look it over and then vote on it. The government over the, and we'll do that at the next meeting, not this one. The government over the United States for America, and that's all of us, no matter where you are. If you're at UK, Jamaica, wherever, you're the government over the United States for America, because we all are. Do hereby state, proclaim, and demonstrate our supreme authority over all subjects at earth, without exception, to include all offices and all previously stateless proteges. A previously stateless protege is such as the Empress who was asleep in the video that we watched when we cut off the recording for this meeting. She is considered she in the last era we were all acting as stateless proteges. And that term proteges, you'll see it when you start looking over old treaties and drafts and enactments of treaties. You'll see the term protege listed there. This is what that term means. Protege. One under the patronage, care, or protection of another. That's a protege. So just as the citizen subjects are under our protection, so are the protege Moors who are asleep and still don't know that they're Moors. Okay. And just for the record, a protectress, and a protectress, same thing, a woman who protects. A protectorate, which is what France was enacting, is an institution for the protection of destitute or delinquent children. So when France was pretending to be a protectorate over Morocco, that was what they were enacting. It says the government for the United States does determine the laws and legalities, and we spelled legalities a little different because it means something different for us, for all land and for all subjects and proteges at all territories. I don't care if it's Japan, and I can't say I don't care because I do care. No matter if it's Japan, Australia, the North Pole, the South Pole, the middle of the Pacific Ocean, doesn't matter. All territories. By virtue of the supreme authority and powers thus stated, demonstrated, and proven by these states united under the sovereign authority of the Moorish National Republic federal government, we hereby announce the following requirements arising from the lawful placement of all subjects under the safety, protection, and authority of this government, to which all subjects and proteges must comply. Article 1. All hostilities are hereby, and I should say all enacted hostilities are hereby immediately ceased in all theaters, on land, at sea, and in the air, as above, so below. Article 2. All arms previously claimed by subjects and proteges wherever they may be shall be completely disarmed.
Islam.
Should
we add in space as well, since they're claiming, and claiming to have activities up there, or are we
yes,
stating that air is going to include space?
Air includes space, but I'm in agreement that space should be added.
Created their little military division for, enacting out that they're doing space war and taking their nonsense up into above the normal stratosphere. So, however that is, by dimension or otherwise.
Yes. Noble Phoenix, that's very wise, Solomon, because nature does not leave open spaces.
Islam, Travis Bay, I second that.
Islam, yes, indeed. Indeed. Very wise to put that. Article 2, all arms previously claimed by subjects and proteges, wherever they may be, said the stated subjects and proteges shall be completely disarmed. And I have some I have some kinfolk that are not really going to be okay with that, but they will be okay with it. It's going to be peaceful. All spaces included in that, Justice Malik. Thank you for that. They shall be, so all arms completely claimed by subjects and proteges, wherever they may be, the stated subjects and proteges shall be completely disarmed. Handing over all, and we're going to call it firearms. Firearms and equipment. And firearms includes anything, because since we've declared peace, it's not called weapons, it's not called guns, it's called firearms.
Including AI.
Including AI, indeed, all of that, and equipment to the Supreme Authority and her officers. And when we say Supreme Authority and her officers, our government is matriarchal. It's female.
Okay.
And so when we say her officers, that's every matriarch's officers. Every matriarch's officers.
It's not English, so that's also writings.
Yes. Yes, it is. Yes, indeed. Pens, everything. And let me say this about that too.
I meant AI, artificial intelligence.
Yes, indeed.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, indeed. It's already happening, just so that we're all aware. B, the actors previously acting as governments, corporations, officers, and offices are hereby proclaimed to be subjects and proteges, pending further court rulings, and shall be subject to such laws and legal rulings as may be stated by the government. And the reason we say pending further court rulings is because some of the proteges are going to declare their nationality by court action, and that's going to change their status. And that actually is going to come from their court, which is a part of our court. All subjects and proteges referred to in paragraph A above, wherever they may be, will remain in their present positions pending instructions from commands from the government. And the reason we're stating that they stay in their present positions is for the sake of order. The further you get down in this document, it's going to change everything with regard to conveyances, domiciles, those that were previously acting as police and all of that. It's going to change all of that. And as we go into this next movement, you will see that manifest right before your very eyes. It's already doing it, really. Now, this part here, I had to think on it for a little while. Evacuation by the subjects at all territories will proceed according to commands stated by the government. What this means is that if there are subjects willing to stay at the territories, then they can stay. Because their will to stay at the territories means that they're also willing to obey the law. There are some subjects who may not have, that might not be their will, so they have free will to leave, to be evacuated. And there will not be an empty space left when they do. Some of them have already left, by the way. Many of them have already left. And is Chief Justice Adrian Porter, are you still here? Because I have not missed your question in the chat, the question that you put in the chat. I'm going to get to that right after we complete the first part of this. It says attachments of civil police to be armed with small arms only for the maintenance of order and for guard duties will be stated and assigned by the government and in alignment with the 1906 Algiers Convention. And for those who want to go back and do the study on that 1906 Algiers Convention, that was when the Sultan, which is a group of matriarchs, that's what a Sultan really is. It's a group of matriarchs. It's plural. That's a plural word, not singular. The Sultan came together and called everyone together and was going to implement a quote-unquote police force. And he started a Sharifian bank on the land and all of that. And that you can study in the 1906 Algiers Convention. We are in alignment. We affirm that according to our statements in our will. Article 3, this one I enjoyed writing. All aircraft of any kind or nationality at all territories or waters, military, naval, or civil, and we're not going to say or, we're going to say and, territories, waters, military, naval, civil, other than aircraft for the work of the government will remain on the ground, on the water, or aboard ships pending further commandments by the government. The government shall freely access aircraft for the work of the government according to legal processes. And we stated what that is. The legal process to fly on an airplane on our land is the following. Name these first 6 statements: a lien on the airline and the TSA, quote unquote, a levy and a bond for your travel, and your and a sovereign exchange, a money exchange on the public record for your ticket, for your travel ticket, and then a removal of alien interest.
How do we put the money exchange on a public record for travel?
What you do is, and this is how we've done it, we mail the Morris Sovereign Dolarium along with the other documentation to our office, whatever office that is. So if it's American Airlines, we make sure that the address is stated properly and that whoever the subject is in the office of Chief Executive Officer is directed to the subject and not to someone called a CEO. We send our payment in Morris Sovereign Dolarium. For those who want to send their payment in a gold coin or a silver coin, feel free to do so. But we send it to the home office. And there's a difference between a corporate office and a home office. The home office is the properly stated office because this is our home. So we send it to the home office, which is sometimes called the headquarters or the corporate office. Okay, we just state it properly. And we send it, and that means you're going to have to send it well in advance of your travel. Well in advance of your travel. And if the truth be told, you could plan your travel out a whole year in advance. For the whole year, you can plan that travel out and state each travel piece, issue a bond with all the one bond with all that travel listed on it, and issue the payment for that year in advance, and then travel. Islam.
So, provided that I understood the statement that you stated about everything being grounded and or, to remain in the wusa, that essentially all traveling will cease and exist. And the only way you can move about the earth is by properly having statements on the public record. That means they're going to be waiting for our paperwork to come across any type of public anything so they can have something to do, essentially. Because
they've been waiting. They've been waiting. They've actually, and I've seen photos of where certain ones will get on an airplane and they're the only ones on there. And so they just go where they're going. One person on a plane that seats 350 people. And so on and so forth.
So what I'm getting at is they who are, waiting our paperwork, the home office will be extended to the places where the exchange for the travel would take place, essentially, because how I'm seeing and envisioning this, that the orders would be given to the everyday people to state that once you see these markers, you are to let these people to do as they desire, because they're the only ones.
No, they're not going to let us do anything.
Well, yes, that part we will, and we command.
It's a command. It's a part of their job as subjects in the office of.
Yes. So what I'm getting at is it will be shorter. The process will be shortened as far as sending it to the home office. We can just send it to the location for where we are going to be going to do our travels and endeavors, because the home office.
You want to send it to where you're starting at and where you're stopping at. Where you start to finish, you want to notify. If you're going to be stopping in Atlanta on your way to Florida, you want to notify all three: where you're starting, where you may have a layover, and where you're going to be ending your travel.
Okay.
Yeah, and Empress Angel and all more. We suggest, and this is something that just came into our viewing, we suggest having an open bond on the public record, an open-ended bond on the public record, so that everything for that year can be put on there.
How would that look? How would that be stated?
It would look like the bonds that we've been doing, except it won't have a specific amount. So it's really an open purchase order, basically.
So our sovereign security number would be the EIN number in that situation?
Yes.
And then it would have our appellation as like instead of saying the United States Postal Service, it would say your appellation?
Yes, it will say your appellation, but if it's government business, you must state the government, which is the United States or the post office or whomever.
Okay, so it would state the United States with your sovereign security number then.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. And then it will be your appellation that's not your appellation, but your name that's traveling.
In all caps.
You can put it in all caps or in capitis diminution minima.
Okay.
Islam.
And I'm sorry. So you would put all the bonds, the action, the bid, and the payment, or you would just do the action?
I would do all of them, plus insurance.
Okay. All right.
Islam, with what she's asking about, with the payment and action bond, I believe, those two give you the opportunity to state a time period for the contract. So utilize that and put it in that it's for this year from this date to that date. That's the whole 12 months.
Yeah.
So recognize that on those two portions of those payment and performance bonds. So that's your whole year, and that's the time frame that you're creating the bond for. Yeah. Islam.
I know there were some airlines who were giving out where you pay $250,000, quote unquote, and you get a lifetime of flying. You may even want to issue that type of bond.
I'm even going so far as to think of, I don't really want to fly commercial anymore. I would rather just do the executive charter, private, so for time and just save time and resource. I don't want to be going through check lines. I don't want to deal with that many people in the airport. I've just lost all desire to be among the masses.
Yeah.
It's just something about that just give me some peace and quiet when I go wherever I'm going.
Well, you know, Noble Phoenix, that's we believe you, me, we get that. For us, because we govern, we want to hear from them, and the best way to hear from them is for us to just be one among many, and find out what's happening. Yes, we're the wealthiest ones at Earth.
Wasting six hours in waiting in line and all that nonsense. That's
well, and if they have to wait in line, we probably need to find out why they're waiting 6 hours so we can make it easier for them.
Well, I mean, just the whole, check in 2 hours ahead of time, and then you wait for your flight, and then your layover time 4 or 5 hours, unless you were fortunate to get the nonstop straight through flight. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. All that wait time. It just wears me out. So I'm just looking, privately at chartering something as opposed to flying commercially. That's all.
Indeed. And that is absolutely an option for all Moors who choose to do that. Because at some point we'll do it as well. Our main concern right now is the public, because the public is, that's really where everything comes from. It's the public. I heard a modern European in one of the videos that I watched recently. She has this sprawling place out in Phoenix, Arizona, and then she has her bug out place that's off site or whatever, supposedly in her enactment. And she was saying, because someone was asking her, well, when are you going to leave this place and go to the underground bunker or the bug out place you have set up? She said, when the public finds out what they need to find out, when the public finds out. Well, we're also the public. We're the public, we're the private, we're the sovereign, we're the government, we're the law, we're all of that. So, for us, we know also that it is also our duty to make sure that our land is what it should be, so that people will want to come here. Not want, will to come here, like when our ancestors were in charge. Everybody wanted to be here when our ancestors, were before they went to sleep. Everyone wanted to come here, and so that's what these processes are about. So this is where we stopped with restating this document. We stopped at Article 4. And we're going to continue doing it. We'll present the rest of it at the next meeting. But this is the final piece that we did. All aircraft in or over territories or waters will proceed to their stated destination or to their home airport or such other place or places as may be specified by the government. So at this time, to their stated destination or to their home airport. So, Islam.
What was the original? We've gone through the restated, and I apologize, I missed it because I got distracted with something else. What is the original that okay. What are you doing there? Where is that?
This is the original. We put the link in the chat, and I'll go ahead and put it in there again so that you can look at this document. Our ancestors just gave it to us because we know it's time for us to declare our supreme authority in a way that international law recognizes it. We've all been stating that we know we're the supreme law for the land. We all know how that goes. But they were asking, what does that mean for us? What are we supposed to do with that information? We know the information is true. What do we do with that information? And so it was our job to, and as you look further down in this document, it's going to start talking about ships and things and travel, or what the shipping is supposed to look like. And whenever you're talking about shipping, you're talking about conveyances, roads, moving back and forth, travel, driving, and all of that. And we get to state what that looks like on the land because we've already, and again, the ancestors show us this after we've properly demonstrated driver's licenses and things of that nature. Once we do what the Spirit is saying by presenting the competent legal documents to go with our lawful documents for our own legal system, then they say, okay, now you can move to this step right here. And that is how this was presented to us, is you're free to move forward with this step of declaring that for, and this is all Moors. It's not just it's for all of us at earth, all Moors at earth who know they're Moors. So when you read the rest of this document, which that's why we put the link in the chat so that you could read the rest of it, and then we'll have it restated by the time, because if you remember in 1945 when this was enacted, this was right before the chosen people went into their land, supposedly, in their enactment. The quote-unquote Jews went to Israel in 1948, and it was declared a sovereign, whatever, in their enactment. And so all we're doing is doing what we do best, which is govern the process. And as the process is moving forward, putting the proper things in place so that we can gain access, further access to the estate. This is how orderly, competent access to the estate is gained. Look at international law. Look at the legal system. Look at the law systems. Look at all of that and don't use theirs. Create our own. Islam. Are there any other questions, comments, wisdom with regard to anything that we've stated thus far? Because there was one question in the chat that I'm going to that I would like to address. Islam, Empress.
There is a charter that is owned by some melanated men in Miami, Fort Lauderdale area. They do have a chartering system with planes.
So what they're doing is acting that out, and when the Moors come, they have an order to occupy until we come. That's in the records. So it's not theirs, it's ours. I actually have one of my big brothers. His name is Ron Mays. He and his son Miles also have a chartering. He's been flying for many years since we left Montgomery. He started Montgomery Aviation in Montgomery, Alabama, and he's been flying all over the world, he and Miles, since then, and he's a Moor. And we grew up together. He's a big brother to us, and he is prepared at any given time to assist in what we're doing as well. So he and his son Miles fly together. They were actually quoted as the first father and son, the first black father and son pilot team, and you can Google that and you'll see Ron and Miles there, and that's been about 5 or 6 years now, something like that, where they did a story saying they were the first black father and son team, whatever. They're not black. So yeah, any modern Europeans who are claiming anything here, they already know why they're claiming it and things of that nature. Their job was to act it out until we state it properly. That was their job. And that's why they were a company, a corporation company. They were a company of actors. A company of actors. They're subjects and citizens, and actually citizen subjects on the land. But they're aware of that already. They know that already. They don't question anything we say. If you'll notice, no, they don't question what we say. The ones that are competent don't question what we say. We just put it up on YouTube or wherever else it goes because other people share it other places and things of that nature, and they never once do they question. You got a couple of subjects in the office of court jester who have their job or had their job, but if you'll notice, they were not here today. Or not, I can't say they weren't here, they were quiet today.
Why do you think that is? Come on.
We've reached a point, and the energies are such that all we have to do is stay focused on us. And when we stay focused on us, we don't have to worry about them. But we've stated that before. Their only job was to deter us from getting to this point, and since it didn't work, we're here already, declaring our supreme authority. They knew that was going to happen. It just had to be done competently, peacefully, and according to international law. With all the pieces in place and everything.
Islam. I just want to state that our paperwork is fervently being noticed by the actors, and it's been recently acted by our subject. The office, though, rather more importantly, has revised a CPLR concerning affirmations for truth, and it states that essentially there's no more notaries because we, the Moors, affirm our own paperwork, and it has to be clearly restated. But the overall and purpose of this their revising of the document and the CPLR shows and affirms that, they know that we don't need them to affirm anything because we affirm it ourselves, and they are to take what we give and they are to do as commanded, and so on and so forth. So,
well, what they're doing is also they're going to act out any nuances and things that so whenever we see that, we should pay some attention to that and take from it what we take from it and integrate it into what we're doing by restatement, of course, and then move on. They'll stop acting when we stop looking. So, yeah. And we appreciate their acting. They're good actors. They were good actors. They were good actors. Islam. With that being stated, there was one question in conclusion of this. There was someone who asked, they said they put 40 affidavits on the public record. Did that not prove already who they are? Yes, it did. But you must know that as above, so below. So the 40-something documents in red, in all lowercase letters, in ancient English, that's the lawful piece. That's the lawful piece. Okay? But then we follow that up with the legal and the processes. Those 40-something documents, a lot of people don't, a lot of Moors are not, familiar with things like the Office of the Comptroller of Currency previously in the enactment. They don't know that in order to print your own documents, you actually have to be that office or the Office for Currency Control. You must be that office to print your own money. And that's part of those 40-something documents. So when you look at what those 40 documents actually declare, it declares who you are to the heavens and in the spirit realm. And those red documents are the link between the spirit realm and this realm. The spirit and the sovereign. That's what the red writing in all lowercase letters is. When you look up red writing in an ancient or an old writing style manual, red is the way that the Savior speaks. It's sovereign. That's a sovereign tone. And that's why those 40-something documents had to go on the record, because those 40-something documents also give you the right to wear a papal, the crown that the popes wear. Okay. You want that done in now on this call?
No. That's just for you. Before you leave, I want you to get that link.
Okay, I got it.
File that I just sent you.
I got it.
Okay. Very good.
In fact, let me just paste it real quickly in here and then take a look at it. Okay. That's what it's saying. You need access. Request access. Okay, I'm going to request access there. The request has been sent for access to that.
All right. I'll get an email, I guess.
Yeah. So those red documents in red and all lowercase letters, they express your sovereign authority over the whole earth, over the universe. That's what they express. If you are not clear on that, go back and read them so that you know exactly what they say. It lists most of the offices, all of the offices actually, not most, all. That's why it's 40-something, all offices, to include chiefs for police, state secretaries, governors, presidents, all offices. It brings those offices under your sovereign control. That's what the 40-something documents that we initially encourage those who are going to be operating at papal, at pope level, at president level, at CEO level, at queen and crown level, and all of that. The 40-something documents are the higher level when you're operating at high level in terms of government and authority over the earth. That's what those documents. Justice Dumois, the link to those 40-something documents, I think it automatically comes under these videos, automatically. So, with that being stated, are there any other questions, comments, wisdom?
Just one quick matter. The email you sent from, that's your normal email, which is full. I don't know if you'll get my reply. Got to do something about that.
I'm going to do something about it. Islam, I'll do that, Noble Phoenix. Islam. If you unrestrict it, I'll be able to just access it directly.
Okay, let me figure out how to do that, because I was just trying to share it directly with you,
and
I didn't intend for it to be anything other than just that.
Okay, and even if you unrestrict it, if you don't give anybody the link, they won't be able to look at it.
Well, that's why I only just shared it with you. So you're the only one that has the link.
And that's what I'm saying. If you unrestrict that link, so go to it, and there's a little V in the upper right corner. When you click that V, it will say restricted, or anyone with the link can view it.
I could have thought that's what I put down, with anyone with the link, but I'll look at it again.
Yeah, so that I don't have to go through the email, and then I can look at it quicker.
Yeah. But that's giving you another excuse to not do that.
I'm going to do it. I am going to do it. I am.
Okay.
Because our donations are coming in as well in more sovereign delarium, and we must have those.
Yes.
So
yes.
Our treasury has taken in so much. We have the wealthiest treasury ever in all histories of all universes. We have the wealthiest treasury ever. All of us. With that being stated, I have nothing further today for this particular Congress. Are there any questions? Islam Justice Council, is that you?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Summarize them. There's a few points I would like to clear up on the bonds, the levy, and the liens. With the names on the document, like Kings County, and the name for putting on the document. That's what I'm thinking about, putting it on the document, but I wasn't too sure. The name of the place where I'm at the moment. Is it necessary to take them off, or to put the names on them?
Yeah, put it on where you are. Yeah. You don't necessarily have to take King County off if you don't want to, but definitely add where you are.
Okay, I got that.
Because even though I'm governing here at King County, so are all the rest of the Moors who know who they are and who are, I'm not the only governor here. I'm not the only sovereign here. All Moors are.
Okay.
So, yeah. And to me, the more the merrier. When you put it on there and it says King County plus wherever you are, we're like, yes, we got it all. That's a bond.
Okay.
Indeed.
I'm going to put it that way instead of putting this what we have or taking it off. Now I know I can just add on what I have to add on to it, to make it a little bit more specific. Yep, so I got that.
Yes, indeed. Indeed. Islam. Justice Council, I just want to say I'm grateful for you, just so that you know, because that place that you're at is a key to all of this. And because you are there, all the keys fit.
Okay. I understand right now and understand what you mean now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, indeed.
I got you.
Yep. And we got you too. Okay, you know that. Yeah, you know that. Islam. Are there any other questions, comments, wisdom?
Islam
Empress.
Hi, Islam. I wanted to know the impress that's at the end of the document of the embossment. Does it have to be the government seal that you're using, or can it be anyone we get from the Office Depot to emboss our documents at the end?
If you've designed one for yourself, then you can use yours, of course. You can.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, and then if you go back to some of our older videos on Light Tajiri Bay channel on YouTube, you will see our government seals are underneath some of the videos, and you can use that as well. But yes, feel free to use any that you choose.
Well, I've seen the ones we use, and I was wondering, to impress over it, to make it look, to have the impress on it, and then for the gold seal part, because if it's not since they're going to be mailed out, so I guess it really wouldn't make a difference if it's being mailed. They won't be able to see the impress and that on the gold seal part.
They will be able to see the impression of your embosser on the gold.
Oh, no, I'm thinking emailed. Yeah, if it's mailed out. Okay. But you said it doesn't really matter what the symbol is that we impress into the gold part.
I can't say it doesn't matter, because it does. If you're using anything from the last era, anything like state of Arizona and all that, you can't use that because that's their stuff.
Right.
Their enactments. But if it's something that you create.
Okay.
Now, here's where the will of the people is concerned with that question, because that's a great question. You can you're sovereign. You can use whatever you choose to use. However, the more we speak with one voice, the more things open up in terms of all that we're doing. We have found that when we all use the same letterhead and the same paperwork, the same flags and everything, that our strength is in our numbers. So again, we don't ever try to tell sovereigns what to do. You are free to use whatever you choose because you're sovereign. And we just know that our strength has been, we've seen the greatest pulling down of strongholds, quote unquote, when we all speak with one voice. So
right. How are we getting the exact same one at the end for our gold embossment, like the same one that you're using?
The way we do that is we go to here, let me go to YouTube and pull up one of those really quickly. And I'll show you how we do that really quickly so that anyone who sees this can do it.
Okay.
The way we all ended up with the same embosser is we go to Light Tajiri Bay channel on YouTube and go to any of the older videos and just look under here. I'll just pick one. This one. And what we do is we go under the video and let's see, the justice that asked about the link to the 40 documents, here it is. This is the link to those 40 documents that we talked about. Okay, so I'll go ahead and copy this link and put it in the chat. And then also to your question, Empress, let's see. Let's go down a little further. Let me put this in the chat. There's the link to the 40-something documents for the one who asked about that. And then the link to the seals. I'll go back. Here, this one will have it.
I've been using that to do all my documents. I just didn't know how to do the embossment for live.
Okay, so here, this is how you do it. What we did, do you have the embosser made already?
No, I don't have any of it. Embossing period.
So this is the video that I went under at Light Tajiri Bay.
Okay.
To get the embosser, down here at the bottom it says, here is the link to the de jure Moorish National Republic Federal Government seal.
Okay.
And it's written in ancient English. So when you click on that link, it's going to take you to our government seal. Okay. This is the artwork to have your embosser made.
Okay.
This is that artwork right here. This is our government seal. And all you do is, if you're ordering it online, you just upload this photo upload it to whoever it is that you're getting your embosser from, and they'll make you an embossment of it. And then you take that embosser. The embosser looks like, what you will get back is going to look like what I'm about to show you on the screen. Just one moment. Can you see me on the screen?
Yes.
Okay. They're going to send you back this, and it's going to have that stamp and seal in here. Okay. And then what you do is you go and get some blank gold notarial seals.
Okay.
And you just emboss them and put them on the bottom of your document. Okay. And that's how you get the impression on there.
All right.
Was that your question?
That is my question.
Okay.
I'm also trying to find out. I'm kind of pressed for time. I wanted to send some documents in by Friday. I did want to know if there was a quicker way to get it done.
Yes.
Just for now.
You can screenshot this right here and put it on the bottom of your document. Copy and paste it on the bottom of your documents right now. Screenshot this seal right here and put it on the bottom of your documents. And
I have it on there, but you said don't I have to have the pressing in those? No?
No, they don't have to have it. They don't. Yeah, they don't have to be embossed. If you don't have the embossment, I've sent many documents in the past without embossment before I got this.
Okay.
Yeah, you listen. The highest seal that you have is your right red thumbprint.
Okay. And the
That's
gold
higher than this one.
Okay. And then the golden
and the gold one,
to have those done yet either.
You don't have to, or you can go and you can get some blank gold notarial seals and put your right red thumbprint on that.
Okay.
That's quick too. You can do that too quickly.
All right. Sounds great.
Yep. I've done that many times before too in the past, is put my right red thumbprint on the gold notarial seal and let that seal the document.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Where there's a will, there's a way, Empress. We can get everything done.
I knew it. Okay.
Yes, indeed.
I really appreciate that.
Islam nobility.
Islam again. We will consider about the posting of the documents. Do I post that over to over to Utah, or do I send it to who the subjects are over here?
The subjects at the UK territory where you are, at the United Kingdom there.
Okay.
Yeah, they need to know. Yeah, your territory. You're securing the United Kingdom for us, and we're securing over here for you.
Gotcha.
And Empress Shasha is securing Jamaica, and Justice David is securing Japan, and all the different places. Empress Frederica is securing South America and French Guiana and so on and so forth. We're all securing it for each other. That is why the document that we showed today was an earth-wide document.
Mm-hmm.
Islam. If there be nothing further, we will adjourn until Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern. Peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine heirs. Islam.
Islam. Peace and grand rising.
Islam. Peace and grand rising.
Islam. Peace and grand rising.
Peace and love.
Islam.
Islam has been a grand rising. Thank you for my erudition.
Grand rising, body.
Indeed.
One in mind.
Yes, indeed.
Peace and grand rising.
Grand rising. Islam.
Islam.
Islam, royal rising.